Welcome to @Cronkite News, your social sharing connection where you choose the news. Facebook likes and shares, tweets, retweets, and favorites. YouTube views and subscriptions. We're watching you, watch us. From our digital home at cronkitenews.azpbs.org to your television, web browser, or mobile device. Let's get a refresh on the top Arizona news of the week.
Another day, another 83 cents. That's what women in Arizona might be saying tomorrow on National Equal Pay Day, a day that highlights the gap in earnings between men and women. Reporter Anthony Marroquin is in Washington today with new numbers on the decades-old fight for equal pay.
It's been over 4 decades since Michael Lieber started her fight for women's pay equity.
In college, that I would talk about the double standard. So I had the activist attitude back then.
Still, she doesn't see an end to the struggle anytime soon.
The estimates of when the gender wage gap will close keep extending.
New numbers from the National Partnership for Women and Families shows that women still made just 80 cents for every dollar a man made in 2015, a rate that has changed little in the last 10 years. Advocates say the stubbornness of the gap could be driven by a built-in bias in society.
In a perfect world, we'd have fathers and mothers that are responsible for their children in an equal way, but we still have more single parents, head of households that are women.
In the House, Congresswoman Martha McSally is leading a group to talk about what Congress can do to help the problem.
We've already talked about some of them, like increasing the child care tax credit. That's kind of a no-brainer. That's a federal level issue, and it hasn't been increased in years.
While McSally says the law needs to be updated, at least one Arizona business owner said last week that it's not just about the money.
Life is just too short to miss out on important events, even if it's just Johnny's first recital or Maria's first basketball game.
Despite the slow pace of progress, those small gains give Lieber hope for the future.
Frustration when one works on an issue this long, but you do see steps being taken.
At 78, she plans to continue the fight until equality is won.
I hope now to help for my granddaughters.
In Washington, Anthony Marroquin, Cronkite News.
Women in Arizona do slightly better than the national average, earning 83 cents on the dollar, according to the report. But that's actually a penny worse than it was a year before. Our pay equity coverage continues tomorrow on National Equal Pay Day.
April is National Donate Life Month. Reporter Chloe Ranshaw spent the day at Phoenix Children's Hospital to learn how organ donors are helping children.
Phoenix Children's Hospital celebrated one big day for donation today. I met with one little girl who just celebrated her first birthday thanks to the generosity of a heart donor. Carrie Semenko waited 20 days to find a heart donor for her daughter Miela, now 15 months old.
You don't know if that moment's going to come, if that call is going to come, outside of having faith that you'll receive it.
For others on the donor wait list, that day may never come. 2,300 people in Arizona are currently waiting for the right donor.
You just have to wait. And sometimes we do have children that die because an organ did not come in a timely manner.
Nearly 200 people saved over 600 lives just last year, and all it takes is one easy sign-up. Donate Life advocate Marcel Pinsons spends his days encouraging people to become donors. Registration can be done at sign-up events, online, or through the DMV.
We're never trying to change someone's mind, but we know most people are very open to helping others.
As for Miela, her mom says slow and steady won the race to health, but also generosity from a donor whose name she may never know.
You know, it's like being thrown a life vest in an ocean with a hurricane and hot lava coming down from the sky when you're waiting. And that all stops, you know, and there's a calm.
You can learn how to join 3 million registered donors at donatelifeaz.org. In the Broadcast Center, Chloe Ranshaw, Cronkite News.
After months of evaluating the effectiveness and necessity of Tent City, Maricopa County Sheriff Paul Penzone announced yesterday he will be closing the jail for good. I spoke to a former attorney general and former inmate on what happens next.
After a methodical review, I am shutting down Tent City.
After 24 years, Sheriff Paul Penzone announced the tents are coming down.
This facility is not a crime deterrent. It is not cost efficient, and it is not tough on criminals.
Arizona's former Attorney General Grant Woods was on Penzone's Executive Advisory Committee. He talked about what will happen to the inmates currently housed in the tents along Durango Street.
They're just going to go back with the rest of the jail population. They'll be sent to appropriate facilities.
But the concentration of the administration is now on the future.
We have to slowly start correcting these negative images of us because they're not true. We're not bigots, we're not racist. We do care about people, we value each individual, and we need to now project that. We've had the negativity projected long enough. It's time to be positive and move forward.
And the benefits this decision will bring.
At its peak, it had about 1,700 inmates, and now it has 700 or 800, but the costs remain the same. So it just doesn't make sense financially anymore. The taxpayers should be able to save millions of dollars here by getting rid of it.
Not only for taxpayers, but also for the officers who guarded the Tent City Jail during the years.
This organization is refocusing to ensure that everyone appreciates what the men and women in uniform and the civilian staff who support them do every day.
As for reaction, former inmate Manzaray Blue Pony had an instant one.
I was surprisingly excited about it. You know, I got all the adrenaline and like a Christmas morning feeling.
The closing of the jail is expected to take several months because many of the inmates housed there are in work release programs.
It's estimated that closing Tent City will save Maricopa County $4.5 million, as well as help with staffing at other strapped detention centers.
The best time to learn your ABCs and 1, 2, 3s is before kindergarten, but affording preschool is a struggle for some families. So now the City of Tempe is making it possible for kids living in poverty to go free of charge. Cronkite News reporter Alexis Stukrath learned what the long-term benefits can mean for future academic success.
Kindergartners at few elementary schools sit and learn together, and by attending preschool, they are set up for kindergarten success.
Children don't come to school being able to listen, being able to follow directions, being able to pay focused attention. If they cannot do that, they are already almost a year behind.
One of the biggest reasons that children don't attend preschool is because the family can't afford it. The City of Tempe recognized this and decided to make a change.
In our community, we have a lot of students that are coming into kindergarten that are not meeting kindergarten readiness benchmarks.
New research published by American Educational Research Association shows the achievement gap between children who attend preschool and those that don't is narrowing but still exists.
Children living in poverty hear about 30 million fewer words when they enter kindergarten than children who are in middle and upper socioeconomic stratus.
Kids that go to preschool are coming into kindergarten ready to learn.
And it is left up to the teachers to try to close that gap.
Kids start at ground zero, and we have to have them at almost 2 or 3 grade levels higher by the end of the year, and to make that kind of growth is difficult.
Few Elementary School was chosen to get in on the ground floor of this new project.
There are so few high-quality preschool options in this area, and the fact that the poverty rate is so high among 3- and 4-year-olds, this is a perfect location for us to open up a preschool in the fall.
And people won't have to pay more in taxes to make sure that children can receive the education they need.
These are not taxpayer dollars. This is money paid by developers to the City of Tempe for development projects within the city.
The city hopes lack of money will no longer hinder a child's success. In Tempe, Alexis Stukrath, Cronkite News.
About Carolina, the new national champion Tar Heels celebrated their victory last night in downtown Phoenix. The Tar Heels beat Gonzaga 71-65. On Monday night, the college basketball season came to a close, with the North Carolina Tar Heels claiming their 6th national championship in the NCAA title game at the University of Phoenix Stadium. And maybe the only person more excited than Tar Heel fans was Phoenix Mayor Greg Stanton.
We love to host these big events. We like to be the #1 host city in the United States of America with the best hospitality.
Today, the city of Phoenix began its teardown process at the Phoenix Convention Center and Margaret T. Hance Park to wrap up what officials have called the busiest weekend in downtown Phoenix history. Dawn Rogers, the executive director of the Phoenix Local Organizing Committee, said the weekend went off as smoothly as she had hoped.
It was fun to watch people get excited about college basketball, and I personally think that Saturday night's games are the best in all of sports. The atmosphere that's in the stadium, having 4 teams come together to determine who will play for the national championship, and to have it here in Phoenix meant, so much.
The event also marked the end of the Valley's 3-year run of hosting championship events. The Super Bowl was here in 2015, the college football playoff national championship game last year, and the Final Four this year. Phoenix Mayor Greg Stanton isn't done, though. He wants the city to remain a mecca for major events.
If you can host events of the highest magnitude, sporting events, it also begets other mega event opportunity. There is no doubt in my mind that our community will be the host of either the Democratic political convention or the Republican political convention over the next few years. We've shown that we can host massive crowds, and we can do logistics, and we can do safety as well, if not better than anyone.
Tonight, the Valley can rest, recover, and reflect on its unprecedented 3-year run. And while nothing is set in stone as of now, Stanton's hopes are high for the future.
The new Phoenix Police Chief, Jerry Williams, says her top priorities include community outreach and hiring new officers. The department must also recruit officers that reflect the growing Latino population. Cronkite News reporter Katie Beery found it's a challenge for all area police departments.
The number of Latinos in law enforcement has grown across the valley, but we compared census data with the department's numbers and found a considerable gap. Officers slowly advance toward their targets, in this case, paper criminals. It's part of a week-long training course offered by Gilbert Police. The department takes pride in training its officers. It's also among the best when it comes to recruiting Latinos. But all Valley Police Departments struggle with building a diverse police force. We crunched the numbers and found out that the Phoenix Police Department is worst in the county when you compare the share of Latino officers to the city's Latino population.
Obviously, everything that we strive for is to make sure that our communities are represented within our law enforcement community. So that's our biggest goal.
Sergeant Mercedes Fortune says the Phoenix Police Department's 6-year hiring freeze made attaining that goal even harder.
So this is my work. This is my mission.
Magdalena Schwartz is a pastor within East Valley Episcopal Church.
The fear is broken now.
She leads regular meetings like this one to build trust between Latinos and law enforcement.
And he speaks Spanish.
Her twin sister translated.
Connect the immigrant community when they're afraid with the police department. Because I think we can have a safe community.
The sisters are both Chilean immigrants as well as pastors. They moved to the Valley 20 years ago. She encourages all area police departments to hire more Hispanics.
So I think it's super important for our officers to reflect the community that we serve, because that helps us as officers to be able to connect.
Me gustaría decir muchas gracias a Magdalena y su equipo para estar aquí esta noche.
Large and small police departments alike rely on residents to report and help solve crimes.
I have at least one officer on every shift that is fluent in Spanish.
Community policing means creating a partnership between officers and all of the people they protect and serve. Some departments do offer incentive pay to officers who either speak or learn a second language. To find out more about efforts to recruit Latino officers, you can visit our website at cronkitenews.azpbs.org. You can also find a full breakdown of the numbers and the rankings of various law enforcement agencies. Katie Beery, Cronkite News.
People with Parkinson's disease are turning to boxing to help punch back at their illness. Reporter Allison Gargaro visited a local gym to see the benefits.
Jab, jab, cross, hook, cross. Nice. They are moves Steve Shankman knows very well. He was diagnosed with Parkinson's 6 years ago. and uses boxing to fight back against the disease.
You can't let the disease define you. You have to define what you're going to do.
Boxing experts say the sport teaches stamina, helps with balance, and trains the mind. Those traits help people with Parkinson's, a disease where a person's balance and movement deteriorate over several years. Patients with Parkinson's use boxing to help slow the progression of the disease. Movements such as punching a bag help improve their mental and cognitive symptoms. Steve found a trainer a year ago and now boxes 2 to 3 times a week.
I forget that I have Parkinson's when I'm doing that.
People often think of Parkinson's disease as just tremor, but it is far more than that. People often have troubles with mobility and doing simple tasks such as eating, brushing their teeth, even walking and balance.
Boxing helps a Parkinson's patient to literally think on their feet.
So it gets your brain talking to your hands. So when I'm calling out numbers and you're throwing the punches at the same time, it gets all those little sockets firing.
Researchers are in the early stages of studying boxing and its impact on Parkinson's.
What we're hoping is that the research will actually show that we're improving people's mobility, quality of life, that type of thing.
Boxing isn't a cure for Parkinson's, but it can help the symptoms. And what I would tell people is to go out and go do something and try to stay ahead of the disease.
Steve has already seen tremendous improvements in his symptoms and loves being a part of the boxing community. In Phoenix, Allison Gargaro, Cronkite News.
Both Edge Fitness in Scottsdale and the Muhammad Ali Parkinson Center offers certified boxing classes to people in all stages of the disease.
In America's most recent mental health report, Arizona ranked second to last in the nation for worst mental health. They cited correlations due to high poverty, low high school graduation rates, and high chemical release. Cronkite News reporter Cassidy McDonald visited an elementary classroom in Phoenix, teaching students how to use mindfulness in an effort to decrease the mental health epidemic in our state.
In Arizona, the percentage of youth in 2016 with severe depression who received insufficient treatment was just over 83%. David Crockett Elementary School in Phoenix is making an effort to improve the state of mental health in young minds by teaching mindfulness classes in partnership with Mindfulness First.
I feel very calm. I would never be like this if mindfulness wasn't here.
Schools really focus and try to pass tests and really focus on what the content they need to learn, but the missing element is how kids are behaving with each other.
Paganini says a mindfulness class teaches children how to be in the present and learn to deal with their feelings.
To be self-aware and to control their emotions or regulate their emotions is something they need practice with.
Sunny White is the founder and executive director of Mindfulness First. She says it's fundamental for students to learn mindfulness at a young age.
When we teach mindfulness, it's a series of lessons that introduce us to our thoughts and emotions, our feelings, our physical and mental impulses, and we do this repeatedly until we know them so well, we see them before they even start. This helps us to self-regulate. I believe that we can help children at a much younger age address any mental health issues.
4th grade student Gael Gaxiola says the mindfulness classes also help him deal with problems outside of school.
When I'm super stressed at my niece because she keeps taking everything from me, go in my room and just take 5 seconds in and 5 seconds out. Just take one mindful minute and it was all good.
Principal Sean Hannafin says he noticed significant changes in his students since the classes started.
There's a lot of name calling and teasing and not getting along with other people. Students are now stepping up and saying, hey, that's not what we do here at Crockett, it's not the way we behave. And really what we've seen over the last year and a half in working with mindfulness is they're forming empathy for new students coming in.
Mindfulness First wants to expand their program throughout the Balls District. They also hope their research can persuade lawmakers to include emotional learning and mental health wellness in the school curriculum. In Phoenix,
breathe in, breathe out.
Cassidy McDonald.
It helps you get out your stress.
Cronkite News.
Mindfulness First is currently working in a partnership with ASU to research the effects of implementing mindfulness classes into schools so that they can present their findings to the legislature. Mental health in young adults is the topic of this week's Cronkite News in Focus podcast. You can find it Friday on cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
It's a new leadership center for Girl Scouts, and it helps the environment. Reporter McKenna Delgarno took a tour of the new facility that incorporates sustainability.
The Bob and Renee Parsons Leadership Center for Girls and Women is a year-round camping facility for Girl Scouts. It aims to give back to the community.
It really stemmed from our desire to increase our capacity to serve girls, the ones that we currently serve, and then new girls in the community.
It includes activity centers, an archery range, and 15 cabins that sleep up to 10 people. More than 900 troops, leaders, and volunteers had the chance to give their input on what they wanted to see.
The biggest thing that they wanted was they wanted the facility to be green and to respect the natural desert landscape that was already here.
Marlene Emerzian, the architect for the center and a former Girl Scout, did just that.
We made very simple ways that the cabins are suspended above the ground, so the water pours down South Mountain like it always has.
The cabins were also designed so that when it rains, the water pours off and onto the surrounding plants. As for going green, the walls are made up of 80% of recycled material. Jessica Lyon with the Girl Scouts Arizona Cactus Pine Council says they hope this camping facility will help girls who don't have experience with camping by offering 2-day overnight camps. She says this is important for young girls.
So one of the things this facility does, and I think it really reinforces for girls, their importance, their worthiness, and that this space is just for them.
Camp sessions will begin this summer. In Phoenix, McKenna Delgarno, Cronkite News.
If you want to register your child or become a volunteer, visit girlscoutsaz.org.
It can be difficult to get students involved in politics and social issues, but one high school class in Arizona is taking it upon themselves to change that. I took a trip to Flagstaff earlier this week to learn more about how some students are using art as a means for activism.
Talking politics can be messy, but showing another person your beliefs can be more harmonious. Janice Hennes, a teacher at Flagstaff Arts and Leadership Academy, believes that art is a great means for activism.
Everyone is coming with a lot of passionate issues, from women's issues to gender, to climate justice, to immigration.
Hennes sees herself as a facilitator of the high school class rather than an educator because of the way she tries to bring everyone's ideas together.
I think it's a great process for our students, being a leadership academy, for them to have a space where they can actually practice democracy and make things kind of happen by working collaboratively.
I'm trying to talk about topics like DAPL and Black Lives Matter and the election.
Some of the projects that this class has worked on include Chairs for Change, which involves redesigning chairs and then auctioning them off. Through this, they raised $5,000 for girls' education.
This is like the artists who really are making change, and it's a really cool group to work with.
They also work on recycling projects to raise awareness on waste and are now working on pieces for the Northern Arizona Nasty Women Art Show. Several students are creating 12 by 12 pieces of work around women's issues, which will then be auctioned off to raise money for the American Civil Liberties Union.
Art initially can be more approachable for anybody. Anybody can come up and confront a piece, and I think it also has the possibility of being more revelatory because you can approach a piece of art.
The students said that one of the greatest parts of this class is seeing the impact that their work can have on the community and beyond.
I'm Scott Pelley, anchor and managing editor of the CBS Evening News. In our changing media landscape, it is crucial for journalism education to ensure a commitment to the truth, unbiased reporting, strong ethics, unwavering fairness, and above all else, accuracy. These are the hallmarks of ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication. It's a place where students can innovate and transform the news industry while always upholding the values of the school's namesake. The Cronkite School at ASU, preparing the next generation for a stronger future of journalism.
Now, here's an @Cronkite News Pick of the Week, a favorite from the Cronkite News staff.
In a 2011 survey, the Environmental Protection Agency found gasoline-powered lawn and garden equipment play a large role in dangerous air pollutants, and lawnmowers account for 40% of those products. Cronkite News reporter Laura Negrete visited the Fire Grazers, a team of 300 working to clean the air quality with their big appetite.
These goats aren't snacking on the job. Eating is part of their profession, and their annual visit in Rancho Palos Verdes has attracted some fans. These 200 goats are clearing pesky weeds, and another 100 travel 6 hours, eager to help out. Michael Choi says goats aren't as picky as other animals, which makes them the perfect employees.
They eat more in terms of the vegetation, so in terms of the fire requirements, goats actually work better.
He says what started off as a family trade to service fire-prone areas sparked another perspective, using the goats as a means to protect the land. It's all in holistic management.
High-density herds of livestock moving through, eating grass and stomping it in, fertilizing it, and getting it ready on a seasonal basis.
It takes one goat 1 year to repurpose 1 acre of land. But with the help of about 300 other friends, this little girl's hunger is going to go a long way in reducing our carbon footprint, cleaning up the environment one bite at a time.
Choi says they're better than a lawnmower because there's no emission, plus they break down and repair the land.
They fix the land by mob grazing. It turns the grass into mulch and it fertilizes it, creates a perfect bed for the next generation of grass.
He says he's seen a difference.
You can feel the land coming back to life. What we do with the goats is a permanent solution.
The goats make their own hours, but with the size of the group, Choi projects the goats will be here for the week. In Rancho Palos Verdes, Laura Negrete, Cronkite News.
Cronkite News tracks your likes, tweets, and shares from all our social sites to bring you this news special. At Cronkite News, our weekly refresh. Join the conversation so you choose the news. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube, and log on to cronkitenews.azpbs.org for top Arizona stories anytime.